Yeah. Bavashayat. In the beginning, Yah created the heavens and the earth. His spirit moved upon the waters. It's all in his word. He said, let there be light. And he called the light day. And the darkness he called night. He saw that it was. He made heaven and called forth the dry land. Gathered the waters, called it the seed. And he made seed for man. Brought forth the grass and every herb and every fruit yielding tree on this earth. He saw that it was. He made lights to divide day and night times for seasons, days, and years to let them be for signs. And so the earth could have light. He made the greater one to rule the day and the lesser one to rule the night. Let's not forget he made the stars also. Then he told the waters to bring forth life, and it was so. He created all the birds of the sky, all the cattle, and every creeping thing after his own kind. He saw that it was. Then Yah created man. In his own image he created them. Male and female he created them. He blessed them to be fruitful and to multiply and to replenish the earth and subdue everything within. Now, behold, it was very good when it saw what he had made. The even in the morning were the sixth day. And on the seventh day he rested. That's why he sanctified and blessed it. It's uncontested. My God is, and to make it understood, I'm bumping truth music when I'm rolling through my hood. I'm putting God first, no hood fame. You read it on a nameplate. Dwell in the house of Yahweh forever for his name's sake. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm stomping through like it don't even exist. His goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. My God is. And to make it understood, I'm bumping music when I'm rolling through my hood. Yeah, I was. And to make it understood, I'm bumping music when I'm rolling through my hood.
Good morning, babe.
Do you remember where we're from? Stayed up watching, no time for yawning. Look up at the sky, see that new day dawning. God be my witness, take it as a warning. Sun ain't never lie, great day in the morning. Focus, never let the nighttime revoke it. Blinded by the dark, I seen it before they cloaked it. It was marvelous, they hiding it behind the pulpit. Lying in a sick bed, vying with the culprit. How we trying on the culture, liking how it fit, now we dying with the vulture. At the round table with more nights than Mozart. Caught up in the image of that child on that poster. The light disable the diagnosis, healing the sick. I got the script and the dosage. Take it for the grind, you gon' need it for the borderline. Holla when you see the joy coming, morning time. Keep on keeping on. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming. Look, I guess we probably need a night light so we can continue to get our hope on. They say we headed for that light, right? Well, I'ma hit them with this photon, with that blazing sword forming like Voltron. When the morning come, they disappearing like Croatan. The Melachine, oh my Elohim, Omicron, sealed with the 70, going out like Yoke and 9. And when I meet my deliverer, I'm set apart. I got peace like a river. If we stay sharp with it, there's a feast on the sliver. We can take part. I advise you play it smart. It's a late start. Let the light shine through the dark. Until the day star rise in your heart, take heart. When you find the door, you'll be more than fine. Holla when you see the joy coming. Morning time. take my inheritance. This arrogance, I'm trying to save him the embarrassment. I spit truth, they forgetting what the marriage is. The meek shall inherit the earth, the rest perishes. They taught us all to listen to Balaam with their palace and their caliphate. I'm destined for Salem, man, they rest is counterfeit. Plus it's destined to fail 'em. Shake the dust off this city, man. Who coming with me? There's a light at the end of it. I see you shine, getting life with the benefits. That's me and mine, holding fast to the legacy, whether the rain or shine. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Do you remember where we're from? Pray you strength to carry on. Will you step into the sun? Pray you strength to carry on. Will you step into the sun? It's mine, it's mine, it's
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah, yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Like our perspective.
Well, hello, and good afternoon to everybody. We welcome my brother back off of nice vacation. They had some great time away, so I just want to welcome my brother Ronnie Mann back. We said a comment, Ronnie, at the end of the last show, and I was saying, something about the term holy. And that just sparked it in me to just make sure that, we go on ahead and explain it. And so I'm glad that you're here with me, and I'm glad everybody else is here with us today because we're just really just going to get right into it. The term holy. And I think it's really important to understand why we say the phrases that we say because we've all been making the statement recently how words are spells. We've all been saying that. I think everybody came into that knowledge or that understanding around the same time. And so it's important for us to understand, especially in the end times, what we're saying and why we're saying it. Now, it was, impressed upon me because it was brought to my attention that every time I say that, I should know what I'm saying. And I appreciate my brother because again, like I said about Steve earlier, where Steve, sometimes he'll cajole me to do the right things and that we've talked, and then he'll say, "Hey, did you know X, Y, or Z?" And I'll look into it and I appreciate it. But Ronnie Mann is somebody that I just over and over and over and over again, as well as with a lot of you, I thank our Father for because he corrects me in love, and it brings me back to the understanding that I'm supposed to be in. And here's the deal. The term holy, H-O-L-I, you know how we spell holiness, H-O-L-I-N-E-S-S, it don't come from where we think it come from. But it does answer a couple of questions that I had back several years ago. It was a question that I had, and I kept asking my other brother, Lee. I kept saying, Lee, what is with all the India inferences? There's so much. What's going on? I mean, I'm seeing a lot, but something spiritual is going on, and I couldn't understand. And then I looked at that whole thing that we were talking about with the CERN and all that stuff, and you see Shivas on the outside, and that was a gift from that government to those individuals. So I'm not going to belabor the time, but I do want to say, hey, brother, man, how you doing?
I'm well. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. It is awesome to be
Good.
here.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're back. Can you hear me? Well, you sound just a little bit muffled. Do I sound muffled? Because I can edit this thingy on my gain. I think it's my gain. Hold on.
No,
Okay, I think.
you sound amazing. I'm dealing. You sound just fine and professional as ever. I'm over here using some off-brand equipment. Well, it's not off-brand, but it's not my usual equipment. So
Oh
I
well, it's all
apologize.
good. It's all good. It's
Am I
all
still
good.
muffled? If
No,
I'm
you're a
still
little
muffled.
better. No, you're a little better.
Mhm.
It's a little better than it was. But listen, we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start to read to you guys. What we're gonna do first is we're going to look at. We're gonna look at. It's so funny. A lot of people don't like Wikipedia, but sometimes they got a lot of good stuff in there, and I think you got to do. You sort of got to weigh it out. But I did vet this. So I just want to give it to everybody, and it's going to be coming out of an area you all can get. So that's the reason why I'm glad we, put it here from them because you all can get this. This ain't some great study that we went out and found, but it is definitely a study that you're going to want to look at. So Holi is a popular ancient Hindu festival, also known as the Festival of Love. It's the festival of love, the festival of colors, the festival of spring. Well, you know what? Let me let you see it. It's the festival of eternal divine love of Radha and Krishna. Are the levels okay? Can you hear me over that?
Excellent.
It also signifies the triumph of good over evil as it celebrates the victory of Lord Vishnu as Narashimna, okay, or Narayana over Hiranyakshipu. Now you try to say that 3 times fast. It originated as a predominantly celebrated in Nepal and India, but it also spread to other regions of Asia and parts of the Western world through the diaspora from the Indian subcontinent. All right. Now, Holi celebrates the arrival of spring and the end of winter, the blossoming of love for many. It is a festival day to meet others, play, laugh, forgive, and repair broken relationships. The festival also celebrates the beginning of a good spirit harvest season. It lasts for a night and a day, starting at the evening of Purnima, or the full moon, falling in the Hindu calendar month of Falguna, which falls around the middle of March. Okay, and that's the middle of March according to the Gregorian calendar. All right, or the Gregorian calendar. So yeah, that's our calendar, the one that America uses in all of the West. The first evening is known as Holika Dahan, burning of demon Holika, or Shihoti Holi, and the following day as Holi, Ranwala Holi, Dal Permina. I guess that's how you could say it. Purnma. Ooh, Lord, some of these words, y'all. I'm gonna just go ahead and make sure that you guys get this link. It's inside of our description. So anyway, Holi is an ancient Hindu religious festival that has become popular among non-Hindus as well as many parts of South Asia, as well as people of other communities outside of Asia. In addition to India and Nepal, the festival is celebrated by Indian subcontinent, right? And the surname let's see, there's the Suriname of Ghana, Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica, South Africa, Mauritius, Fiji, Malaysia, the United Kingdom, the United States, and the Netherlands, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. In recent years, the festival has spread to parts of Europe and North America as a spring celebration, a celebration of love, frolic, and colors. Holi celebration starts on the night before Holi with the Holika Dahan, where people gather, perform religious rituals in front of the bonfire, and they pray that their internal evil will be destroyed the way that Holika, the sister of the demon king Hiran Yakashapu, was killed in the fire. The next morning is celebrated as Rangwali Holi. Okay, Rangwali Holi, a free for all festival of colors where people smear each other with colors and drench each other. Water guns and water filled balloons are also used to play and to paint each other with different colors. Anyone and everyone is fair game. Friend or stranger, rich or poor, woman or man, children or elders, the frolic and the fight with colors occurs in the open streets, parks, outside temples, and buildings. Groups carry drums and other musical instruments, and they go from place to place. They sing and they dance. People visit those families, their friends, and their foes to come together and throw colored powders on each. Okay, they laugh and they gossip and they share holy, HOLI, delicacies, food, and drinks in the evening. People dress up and they go out and they visit. So that's what that term holy is. That's exactly where it comes from. Okay, that's where the term holy comes from. Holy. You have to look at it again now that you've heard it in context. It is a festival of color, festival of love. It is something that signifies the beginning of spring and the ending of winter. Now, in and of itself, it's not a bad thing, right? Of course not. It's not bad for those that are called to worship that. But when we use terms like holy, HOLI, and basically that's where the word comes from. Okay. All right. Holy versus sacred is what Rachel Van Zyl just shared. And I submit that it's holy versus set apart, which is totally different than what our Father is. Right. So now when you consider that our Father is set apart, he is a set apart Father. Now we are doing the platform right now. We're laying down the platform for us truly understanding the Ruach HaKodesh, the restoration of our Father's people, the remnant, the ones that are left that really are truly seeking to find out who he is, who he isn't. What is this? What isn't this? It is so important for us to put everything in the proper perspective. Here in the West, especially in the United States, we tend not to do that. We tend to just take things that they are. We take things for what they are, whatever somebody says it is, and that's what we do. We begin and we end there. We never, ever, very rarely, some of us, we very rarely, for the most part, ever just dig and ask ourselves the hard questions. Where did that come from? Who told me that? Why do I believe what I believe? Where did it all start? Now, my job is to shake up a lot of apple carts. That's my gig. My gig is to shake up the apple carts because it's in the apple carts, whatever we've stored inside the apple cart. Our problem is that we hold to that. And we don't change, nor do we deviate from it. But when we look back, we cannot remember where we got a lot of information from. In a few minutes, as people begin to come in, we are going to play that again. All right. But I want to read just a little bit before we do that. I want to give you guys the opportunity to see it. All right. There it is right there. We started earlier here. And I'm going to stretch it out just a touch because it's very important to see what it is you say when you're saying holy. When we say holy, where did it come from? Here it is. This is it. Think it not strange that we have people right now that are in high places that are from this region. Please don't think that it's strange. And it's not the first person who has had some dealings with that region, and we have them in very high places. There is a purpose and a reason for this. Okay. So here we are on the screen where we see that Holi is a popular ancient Hindu festival, also known as the Festival of Love. Usually when anybody tells you something like, oh, it's love, it's supposed to be kind, it's supposed to be, just loving and wonderful, those are generally going to be the things that disarm you and prevent you from digging any further. As soon as most believers hear the word love, we drop our rocks. There's no more defense. We're not going to defend anything that we believe in because they understood enough to tell us the term and the word love. And therefore, we go ahead and we hold on to whatever it is that somebody wants us to believe. Again, we are doing the restoration of the bride. That is what this is. It started from earlier when we had our meeting this afternoon at 12. And I said, you know what? We're going to change it. I already feel it and I knew it. And it came from that last little phrase that I mentioned when I said Holy Spirit. Well, it's actually the set apart spirit. He has a set apart spirit. Now, if you will imagine, if this is holy, then that means that our God is this, that our Father in heaven is holy. No, the set apart spirit means that he is higher and greater than anything that anyone can imagine. There is nothing on this earth that could ever compare to him. And so, therefore, we have to be cognizant when we choose the words. And it's almost to the point where, somebody will say, oh, gosh, I'll use Rachel's name. Let's use Rachel's name. Rachel, she's on one again. Sandy, oh, she's on one again. Ronnie, he's on one again. Felicia, she's on one again. They're on one again. Well, it's important because if we don't dig into why we say the things we say, we don't have any clue who we're praising. We don't have any clue what we're really saying. But the point is the word knows its origin. The people who have the word, they know their origin. And so why don't we know? Why is it not important for us to know? Why should we be the only ones not knowing? We should know and we should understand. For those who would say, well, no, that's not holy. We spell holy, Holy. Spell holiness for me. Use it in a sentence. Spell holiness. Holy and then ness. Ness meaning what? So you've got the beginning of the word holy and then you've got ness meaning what? Isn't that the same holy? Sure it is. Knock it off. Knock it off. We can't have any excuses anymore. And I start with myself. There are no more excuses for me not to say what's right. Now that we're learning, I think the most uncomfortable part is that as we grow and we learn, it's sort of uncomfortable because we're learning after we're grown. And if we were corrected at 9 or even 5 or 7 or 10, probably wouldn't be so bad. But because I really like the way that I've learned and I like all the money that I spent for my, my biblical education, for everything that I spent while going to Bible college, you know what I mean? I sort of want to hold on to it because I paid for it. And you usually value stuff that you pay for. All right. But look at this whole thing. It is an entire festival of love, festival of colors, and the festival of spring. Isn't there something else that we know of that's attached to Rome that deals with spring, that deals with fertility? Has nothing to do with our Father, has nothing to do with the Son he sent, has nothing to do with it. But yet people who call themselves believers in the Father stack up and build and fill in places every single spring just to sit there and glance at a bunch of eggs, some smelly old rabbits, okay, and a whole bunch of other stuff that are festivals dealing with fertility. Okay, knock it off. We need to knock it off. The festival celebrates the eternal and divine love of Radha and Krishna. I wonder if I click this, will you be able to see it? Who knows, but we'll check. Okay. Radha or Sanskrit. I can't understand how to say that, and I apologize. And I don't mean to offend anybody who knows how to say these words, but I'll be honest, okay? Radha, also called Radhika, is a Hindu goddess and a consort of God, lowercase g, Krishna. She is worshipped as the goddess of love, tenderness, compassion, and devotion. She is described as the chief of gopis or milkmaids during Krishna's youth. She appeared as his lover and companion, okay, though he is not married to her. In contrast, some traditions accord Radha the status of primary consort and wife of Krishna. Radha as a supreme goddess in these traditions is considered as the eternal female counterpart and the eternal potency. Haldina or Shakita or Shakit. How do you say that? Is that Shakti? I think it's Shakti of Krishna, who resides with him in their abode, Goloka. Okay, in Radha Valba, not going to try to say this, but you guys see it, which is a Radha-centric tradition. Radha is worshipped as the supreme deity. Elsewhere, Radha is venerated, particularly in the Krishnite Nimbarka Sampradaya, okay, Pushtigmarg tradition. There's a whole lot of other beautiful words. I say by beautiful, I mean the blue colors, which means if we click them, we'll go someplace. But Radha is sometimes considered as an avatar of goddess Lakshmi, as in the Nimbarka Sampradaya, and some as the feminine form of Krishna himself. Radha's birthday is celebrated annually as Radha Hashtami. Raha Shatami. There you go. Okay, we tried it. All right. But this is where the term comes from. Once you start clicking around, you start seeing, I don't know. It doesn't seem like anything that we should be a part of. But there you go. It's part of holiness. Okay. And Hollywood. Mars Fool's Gold. Exactly. And the whole Bollywood, Hollywood, it's all in the same exact frame or time frame or the same exact setting. Let's take a look at it again now that we have a few people here. Let's take a look at what Holi is, the festival of Holi. Here we are. Happy Holi, it says there. That's it right there. So the Queen of Heaven, you see what Ronnie Mann has there. Shakti, Radha, is the supreme goddess and is the Hindi equivalent of the Queen of Heaven, which is another term that we can use for the whole Ishtar deal. Happy Holi. This is something they walk around and say. That's it. And it's okay for them. But it's not okay for those of us who call ourselves the followers and the believers in the Most High God, the only true and living God. It's okay for them to do this. There's absolutely nothing wrong for them to do. That's holy. That's their holiday. This is what they do. Ishtar, Asarte, Ashtaras, it's all the equivalent to that. And they paint themselves up. Pretty colors though, right? Especially girls, we love pretty colors. See that? All of that. There's their temple right there behind, and it's okay for them to do this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But what we need to understand here, as we believe in our Father, is that this has nothing to do with him. He is so far above this. He is so far above this holy. He is set apart. There is none like him. He is the highest of high. There is no other God. No, not in heaven. There's nobody like him. No, not in heaven. No, not in earth. Nowhere will you find any entity, any past entity, any lowercase g, anything that is as awesome as our Father is. That is, you see that? That's holy. That's holy. And so as we begin to break down the restoration of the bride, restoring the bride of Messiah, and understanding what Ruach HaKodesh is, it's important for us to lay this foundation to receive the set apart spirit of Yahuwah or Yahweh. Right. Um, Ronnie, what would you like to add? Is there anything that you'd like to add or anything that you'd like to say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just want to make sure that you can hear me first.
Yes, it sounds like a little wind in the microphone, but I can hear you.
I apologize.
No, it's all
Um,
good.
Nonetheless, if everybody can bear with me,
We hear you good now.
okay, great, great. So this is what's going on. Let's go ahead and connect these dots, though, as to how
Connect
we
them.
get holy from the Hindu to holy, how we refer to it in the English. The English language, the parent of the English language is Sanskrit. The parent of the what we call Indian or what the Hindu language is Sanskrit.
Mm-hmm.
So they share a common language, and we branch mother language, which this mother tongue, which is called Sanskrit. So
Mm-hmm.
English, as we travel down the line of history, they have holy, but they've received this word from, you know, again, the Sanskrit and ancient language that a lot of our languages have stemmed from. Um, so we have the word holy, and it doesn't really matter how it's spelled. It's like I don't know, George. The word George in English, and then versus the word Jorge in
Mm.
Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
It's spelt differently, but it implies the same connotation. We're talking about George or Georges,
Mm-hmm.
in like a French setting or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
these different languages, these different cultures, these different tongues, they might spell it differently, but it stems from the same essence. And this is where we get the concept in the English of holy. When we look at holy, and somebody mentioned holly, which is a derivative of the same exact word. And it's very interesting that the holly tree is used to make magic wands in wizardry and in witchcraft, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very interesting in and of itself, because these words and these languages are actually a spell. Words hold power, and we have to understand the origins in which we're speaking, in which we're referring to, and we have to go back to the beginning to make it right. At least, I mean, even if you're going to things, you have to understand in your mind the concepts of the origins of these things. So when we look at um, the celebration itself of holy, we are indeed um, killing. We're killing the old, and we're bringing in the new. But what is that old? The old is a demon that they're killing off in this ancient thing that they're partaking in. They're killing off the halakha dahan, which is
Mm-hmm.
a demon. It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a it's a female demon. They're killing off the demoness, and it's essentially um the triumph over the triumph of good over evil is the concept. So like you said, in and of itself, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we are giving reference verbally to the wrong entities. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're killing off in holy, this ancient thing that we're partaking in. We're killing off the halakha dahan, and that's the demoness. But we have to also understand the halakha is in the ancient Hebrew language, the halakha. And a halakha, when we look at halakha in the English from the Hebrew, that essentially means traditions.
Mm.
So that's interesting in and of itself. So
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing is we're seeing these traditions, and we see also Yahweh Shah in the Gospels and
Mm-hmm.
what we call the New Testament. The book of Mark, he says that, oh, it's a book of Matthew as well, but he talks about how our traditions end up nullifying the commandments of Yah, the traditions of men. So we're doing all of these things that are traditional because this is how we've learned, and this is the construct in which we were born, and this is what we know, and we never take a step outside, and look into, you stand out, and then you take yourself out of the equation, and you can have a different perspective. You can have a better, more well-rounded, see things that you might not have seen. For example, you know, uh, you can't see the forest for the trees, type of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
if you take a step back, you see that there's an entire forest,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you can begin to dissect what's going on. But in essence, these are traditions, and
Are you there?
yeah, handle the
Okay.
certain things. But the mindset that we were born into are indeed traditions of men if you take a step back and look at it. And what we're doing is we are adhering and we are living out these traditions. Um, so, like I said, that's the halakha in the
Mm-hmm.
Hebrew, and Sanskrit. The ancient Phoenician is the ancient Hebrew, and the ancient
Mm-hmm.
Sanskrit is, in effect, the ancient English. It's a morphing, but they were contemporaries. Sanskrit and Phoenician, the language, were contemporaries. In the ancient times. So
Mm-hmm.
halakha and holy ka, essentially meant the same thing, and they branched
Okay.
off, and that's where we are today, moving forward.
Mm-hmm. So let me just ask you a question.
If you
So
just strip down all of and break it down to its bare essentials, this is what's going on. So Hind that
I think we
says,
have.
when we read in the English, it talks about we are to be, quote unquote, holy because he is holy.
Mm-hmm.
That word holy, when we read it in the, quote unquote, New Testament, it comes from the more ancient testament, what we refer to as the Old Testament, and that word is kadash. It's in the modern Hebrew they call it kodesh.
Mm-hmm.
In the ancient tongue, it's called kadash, and kadash essentially means set apartness, to
Mm-hmm.
be separate.
Mm-hmm.
And we find that he is holy, holy, holy. The elders, the angels that minister to him in the throne room, they say, holy, holy, holy. Um, in essence, what they're saying is you are set apart, set apart, set apart. So this is, and then, like I said, he tells us to be set apart because he's set apart. And we
Mm-hmm.
find out that the elders proclaim that he is set apart, set apart, set apart.
Hmm. So he's
So
more than set apart.
we're supposed to be set apart, set apart, set apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's vital. That's vital.
You guys, we have a
Are you
delay.
with me? Am I
I'm
with you?
here. We have a delay. I don't think Ronnie can hear it, but I think there is a delay. It's a speeding up of his words and then it'll slow way down. And I think that I think we're all together in this listening, but there is a bit of a lag or something is going on his end. Um, Anthony Van Zen says, Kimon, yep, they sacrifice all they can get their mitts on. She said, "Okay, thank you." But I think he's going to have to come back in. He dropped him, and now he's coming back. But the point that I really wanted all of us, including him, because we all talked prior to starting up, but I think the most important thing for us to remember is to understand the origins of the words and understand where they came from and understand what direction we are headed in right now. We have to become more and more and more set apart than ever. It's going to be a difficult thing, but as long as our hearts are in the right place and we're leaning on our Father for understanding and knowledge and wisdom, then we're not going to really have much of an issue because we already know there are some things that have to be separated and taken apart, and we got to remove ourselves from certain things and certain situations, and certain conversations and certain mindsets. There's not going to be any way for us to stay connected to the old stuff once we begin to realize its origin. Here's the funny thing. Even if we decide that we don't want to let go of our sacred cow, that sacred cow has an origin. That sacred cow was, before we ever, bought into it, that sacred cow had a place that it began. And so whether or not we want to let it go, when we go back and read its origin and when we go back and study where it came from, and then we have to juxtapose that to who we say we are and who we say we are called to serve and to worship, and then we turn right around and look at that cow. Now I submit to you, you've got a major decision to make, and that is, once this knowledge is given to you, are you going to stay holding on to those things because we feel like mom and them, daddy and them, our old pastor, the old lady who used to, talk to us at the church all the time? This is what they believed and it worked for them. Well, it did work for them. And at one point in your life and in your walk with our Father, it worked for you. But at one point, you have to graduate to the knowledge that He gives you when He gives it to you. Here's the deal. He gives each and every one of us this, what appears to be new, which is not. You get this information now, but it's for a specific time period because He knows what you're about to deal with, what the world is about to deal with, the trajectory we are taking, the direction we are headed. He knows, and He also knows that if you hold on to those old sacred cows, you're going to get lost in this walk because the lie and the deception has been wrapped up in that sacred cow. You will get lost. You will be lost at your own hand. So it is important for us to get it. It is. It just is. When you see that term holy, now you see what it's about. But even as we dig even deeper than that, we come into some information that shows us that it's not all pretty colors. It's not all everybody having a good time. They even said a couple of keys in there. A couple of the keys dealt with mischief. We talked about mischief the other day when we were dealing with that little fat, now it's a little fat baby, Cupid. We dealt with mischief then, right? But it's apparent that a lot of these things attach themselves to the kid side, to the childlike part of whatever it is that's going on. It'll attach itself to the kid part. Why? Because the kid happiness, happy-go-lucky, a lot of stuff happens and you don't even notice it happened once the party is over, right? So it's amazing that when we were reading this, it talked about the mischief and it talked about all the fun that happens and all the good times that go on during that time period. Look at all the colors. Your mind is being massaged, and then you cannot turn around. I'm sorry about that. You say, yeah, I hear a little static. Yeah, we cleared that up. I just muted the mic. It's something that we don't know what it is, but it is coming around. So we took care of it. But thank you, madam. So when we consider that, it's important for us to get it. Holy, our Father is greater than holy. He is totally set apart. Now, in tandem with that, we're going to look at Ruach, the restoration of the bride of Messiah. This is a part of that restoration. We were talking earlier and we were mentioning how when you're about to do your remodeling of a bedroom, a bathroom, a kitchen, or anything that you've ever seen remodeled, what is the first thing you have to do before you even begin to put in the new stuff? Anybody want to say it in chat? What is the first thing that you've got to do before you bring in, say, for example, you're redecorating your kitchen? What's the first thing you've got to do in that kitchen before you bring in all that new stuff? There's something specific. The new stuff can only be brought in after you pull out the old stuff. Okay? The new stuff can only be brought in. There you go, Ozymalis. You got to remove the old stuff. You got to remove the old stuff. Okay? You've got to. You don't have that choice. You don't got that luxury. How are you going to say, oh, I don't like this old bathroom, and then you keep the basin and everything else in there and try to shove all the new stuff in? It just doesn't match. It's like putting, new wine inside of old wine skins. It's just like that. It's like putting new wine inside of old wineskins. And eventually, what happens is those wineskins begin to burst and they begin to break up at the seams because you're putting new into the old. So that's what we've got to do right now. In order for us to begin to understand why we don't say holy and we say Ruach, HaKodesh, it's going to take some breaking it down. So here's what I want to do. I want to go over here and I'm going to share with you. It's a great commentary, and you know what? I liked it. I read it, and I thought, well, I think this is pretty simple. The way that they have, the way they've put it together for us here. So we're going to read this. We're going to go into this, and it'll allow us to know. I know a little bit somebody else's idea. However, I sort of liked it. There may be some things that that we may not necessarily go along with. Let me see here. Okay, here we are. I'm just going to read it to you. And then I'm also going to make sure that I put it down below so that you guys have it. I think we already did this. I think it's already inside of our description. And if it isn't, I'll put it. But it's really good. It's restoring the bride of Messiah, the set apart spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. The infilling of the set apart spirit of Elohim is the greatest gift we have received in this life on earth, whereas the patriarchs in the Tanakh had to walk out the Torah on their own. We believers in the Messiah have been given an awesome gift, a kind of partnership who is our helper in our walk. Let us not forget all that was done on Calvary for our benefit. We need to restore the Torah, but do not forsake the set apart spirit and his most important ministries. Now, when we think about the Holy Spirit, when we used to say the Holy Spirit, there were gifts of the Holy Spirit. There are gifts of Ruach, but we have to separate and unconnect ourselves from that old mindset so that we can get a hold of what the Ruach's job is. Okay. As we go through this small, brief series, it may be 2 weeks, it may be 1 or 2 days. I don't know exactly. But I do know that once we get through this, as we go through this, we will find out we're ready for the graduation of what's to come, but we need to add the cost. We need to know when we're going to go in and do that demolition, when we're going to go in and move the old stuff. What is the cost? What is the measurement? Ozymalis said Torah. Okay. It's a term. It's a word, right? It's a word and it's a term. Ronnie is going to pick that piece up in just a second. But again, that was, a story that we're reading. But the point I'd like to make is that we do have to understand that there is a cost. And we have to understand that once we decide that we don't want to have anything to do with the old stuff the way that it was, that there is a cost. Ronnie, if you can unmute yourself and come on in and share, Cutie Pie, Ozymalis says Torah with the face there. So if you don't mind, would you please pick this portion up and let's introduce the whole, finish up where you were before the whole malfunction happened and then go into Ruach.
Absolutely. And I would like to apologize. I actually have no idea where the malfunction started. So I was just talking to myself for at least a good 7 or 8 minutes before I even realized that I wasn't even, I don't know what happened. I have no idea what
you
happened.
were on. What the problem was it had you talking like this, and all of a sudden you sound like this, and then you slow back down and talk regular. And then you're right back up into it again. And this time, and guess what? And this time, and
Interesting.
last time, and one time in band camp, it was just going.
Oh
So
wow. But essentially everybody heard, the key points that I was making.
yes, all of that was heard. It was just speeding up, and then this like rattling noise, almost like rattling. I don't know, but like
I
yeah,
don't
okay.
know.
It's okay.
That's interesting. Okay. So at least I laid that foundation. But as far as halakha goes and tradition goes, we have to see exactly where these things, how these things play out, uh, where we picked them up. Where they threw the ball into the court and we actually went into the game and picked it up. And what we're doing is we're just picking up where mid game with what everybody else has already been playing, and and we find ourselves in a game that, I mean, do we even really want to be playing? Like, are we here? Why are we here? Why are we playing this game? So we have to, understand. Okay, if we're going to be playing, if we're in the game, um, what game are we playing? What are the rules? And who invented it? And what's things of that nature. So, moving forward, though, just to elaborate on Awesome Alice's inquiry, I guess, of Torah. Torah is it's the Hebrew word. It's called Torah in the ancient tongue, and what it actually just means is the instructions. It's the instructions, and academia calls the first 5 books of the Bible, calls it the Pentateuch. From the Greek, it's the first 5 books, basically. Penta, meaning 5. So the first 5 books of the ancient scriptures are essentially in the Hebrew tongue called Torah. They're the instructions. And this instruction is the foundation of all of the principles and all of the, you want to call it doctrine, all of the teachings of what we call Christianity. It's just, where have we veered off and where have we entered into tradition? And when these traditions manifest themselves, are they nullifying the commandments of the Most High? And that's the question. But this is what's going on. We're dividing this word up into 2 sections called the Old Testament and the New Testament. And that actually gives you in your brain subconsciously a negative connotation that, oh, that's old versus this is new, so this is better and that's not as good, or what have you. But really, in essence, consider this: the Old Testament stands all by itself. The New Testament cannot stand by itself in this regard, that you have to match up everything that the Old Testament says. I'm sorry, pardon me. You have to match up everything that the New Testament says with the Old Testament to make it valid.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how they vetted what books go into the quote unquote canonized New Testament, is because they matched it up with the Old Testament. Are the prophecies, are the themes, is everything in accordance with what has already been established, and then they call it a New Testament. But the New Testament is only rings true if it corroborates what the Old Testament has said. Mm-hmm. So it's all of the principles of the quote unquote new teachings and New Testament, new witness, new testimony is stemmed from the backbone of the Torah, the instructions, the first 5 books of the scriptures. And there's a whole lot of names that they've dubbed the books of Moses,
Mm-hmm.
the 5 Torah, or the instructions, even just simply the instructions. But that's a crash course on getting an understanding of
That
what
was
that
a
is.
good one. That was a good crash course. I like it. Let me welcome a few people that just came in for a quick second here. Mars Fool's Gold, we are so happy to have you here today. Obviously, Mr. Anthony Van Zant, don't want to take you for granted. It's good to see you. Welcome, brother. Welcome. Also, KK Harris, namaste, my sister. Hello, we love you. I love you, and I miss you. Ronnie bumps your music all the time. My sister is a lot of stuff. You guys saw her when she did my interview a few months ago. But Ronnie listens to your songs all the time, so he's a fan, and I'm glad you're here. So welcome all the way from the UK, KK Harris. Thank you for being here, Ronnie. I wanted to ask a quick question. The idea of the Flavians, the idea of um I want to say this, Constantine. Okay, so let's start. Let me just unpack him. Let's just unpack Constantine. Let's unpack and then let's get into, if you don't mind, the Flavians. I'm glad you could catch us before you went to bed there too. So let's just unpack it. What do you say? I mean, tell us about how Constantine plays a role, or Rome plays a role in what it is that we believe now. Now, the next part of the series that I'm doing is actually why I'm not a Christian, because I'm going to give everybody the delineative line between what a Christian is and a believer in the true and living Father. Okay, I know that blows a lot of people's minds, but I don't want it to. Just calm down. It's going to be okay. We're going to unpack it, and you might agree. Ronnie, can you sort of dig around and rummage around in that bag of tricks for me?
Well, I mean, we can talk about Constantine, but honing in on the word Christian, I mean, that is a whole entire study all of its own, and it's not one study. It's a
Right.
breakdown, and it's a like you said, destroying the things that we know and then building it back up with truth. And but I can say this: the word ak in the Hebrew, if I may, can I?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
please do.
the word ak in Hebrew means brother. The akim, which would be plural, would be brethren. What the English renders out brethren. So ak is the brother, is your brother. Um, and I'll say it again: ak is a brother. The word Christian first came about, and people were first called Christians in a town called Antioch. This is called Antioch. Listen just to the wordplay. It is the word Christians came from a place that is anti-brethren. And when you actually dive into the Flavians, when you actually dive into Constantine and his role as the Roman emperor that actually made the statewide religion, quote unquote, Christianity, they were anti-Semitic. They did not want anything to do with the so-called Jews, with the, quote unquote, how we refer to as the Jews. They didn't want anything to do with them. And plus, the Jews are, as far as them being a state, Judea or what have you, they're a vassal state of Rome. So, and they just essentially took a religion that is not theirs and is a religion of their captives, basically,
Hmm.
and they made it their primary religion. So they
Creepy.
had, yeah. So it's like they can't acknowledge, even though they just did that, they can't acknowledge and say, "Oh, well, we took your religion because you guys are awesome. Your religion is on point," and so they can't say that because now you're saying that their God is greater than. Uh, you're
It's
putting them
confusing.
on. You're putting them on too high of a pedestal, being that you rule over them.
Hmm.
So and they were extremely anti-Semitic. Um, and the province in Turkey is called Antioch.
Hmm.
They are against the brethren. So we're not going to call them. And when you actually do the historical, when you take a historical outlook on it, you see that these people, some scholars call them Essenes or what have you. But these people that were in the way, that that believed in that the Mashiach has arrived, Messiah has arrived, and indeed, who we refer to as Jesus Christ through the contextual information given in the Bible.
Mhm.
He these people, they
Come on with it.
no they lived a lifestyle. It was called the way, and they were called not seers. They were called not serene.
Mhm.
They were called not serene. You know, when you look at it, when you look at the historicity of the thing, these people were called not serene. They switched it at Antioch, interestingly enough, because that means anti-brethren, and they usurped the word, and then they inserted and injected Christianity, and now they were called Christians. The reason that they're called Christians is because the word Christ. See, we're looking for a Messiah.
Mm.
Christ is the Christos in the Greek. The Greeks aren't looking for a Messiah. The Greeks are looking for the Grecians, who are called the Hellenes. The Hellenes weren't looking for a Messiah. They were looking for a Christos. They were looking for the Christ. So, you know, they just used that same outlook or what have you, and they say, yes, this Messiah, this Jewish Messiah is actually the Christ that you were looking for. And then they call them Christians, but it's an anti word.
Anti
It's a negative connotation.
brother.
It's the anti.
Mhm.
And I wasn't ready. I wasn't prepared to say this, so I know I threw just a whole lot of information out there and fumbled and bumbled through it. But I hope you get the gist of the depth of what I just said.
I get it, and I think there's a lot of people here who's already like right there with us. So, it says Antioch on the what is this? Orontes. Orontes, is that what that word is? Also, Syrian Antioch was an ancient Greek city on the eastern side of the Ontarius or the Orontes River. Orontes River. Its ruins lie near the city of is it Antakya, Turkey, to which the ancient city lends its name. Antioch was founded near the end of the 4th BC by Seleucus and Nicator. Nika. Is that Nisa or Nika? Because I don't want to. Here's the problem. I don't like to say a lot of these words because their terms are different. So I could be saying Nicaea, like, you know what I mean? And I know what Nicaea is, and I know what all that is.
Exactly.
But that's what it
But
sounds like to me.
right. Well,
And as
that's right. And the Seleucid Empire was an Assyrian empire. And you have to understand that the Assyrians, along with the Babylonians, they hold Yah's people captive. And when you're held captive, you're held more than just physically captive. You are emotionally captive. You are mentally captive. They take you and they make you them in your brain.
So this really is the flip-flop world. Everything you thought you knew is not what you know, it's what you think you know. Everything
Absolutely.
so in other words, they are not only, again, I always say this is the greatest story of identity theft ever told. But the question begins, it begs the question to the layman or the person who doesn't get it. Why? What is it about this people that they would want to be? Now, the only people that they are confusing are those who don't know the truth or those who come up and follow along. It's like you've got a king or you've got a prince or you've got a queen or a princess, and they don't know who they are. And the person who really is the subordinate begins to usurp, with all usurpation, begins to become them. It begins that they begin to pull over their will on the person who really is in charge or the person who really is the leader. But the leader doesn't know.
This is an age-old tactic. I mean, if you look at the Jim Crow era and the Jim Crow laws, they understand that you have to dig into the person's mind.
Into the
dig
psyche.
into the brain.
The
Yes.
psyche. the
Yes.
psychological
And
portion.
then they can be truly enslaved. They can be truly held captive. It's the, it's the brain. It's your
So,
mental.
so
It's
would
your
you say
mental.
so would you say that it's pretty important to understand what they believe so that you would then be able to hold them captive to what you want them to think? You want to know how
Absolutely.
they think. You want to know how, you know what I'm saying? You want to know. And I think that's one of those tactics where we talk about that where and I always forget the term, but I know I always say it, but it's when you have what is the name of the country that they name the disorder that a person gets when they fall for their captive, when they believe what their captive says. It's
Uh,
it's the
um,
oh gosh, you guys know
now
what I'm
that you're
talking about.
saying it,
I
hey,
can
but
never
y'all gonna throw it in the chat.
yeah,
It's
somebody's
the
gonna throw it in the chat.
Stockholm
The
syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. It's the place, Stockholm. So it's where obviously the Stockholm syndrome comes from, and that for ages, for decades, it has worked time and time and time and time again. Because all they do is they take what you believe. They focus on what you believe and then they fashion a way to control you based on what you've known. Your natural innate love for our Father, they now take that and now you become them and they become you. And therefore, they now
Absolutely.
have control. One thing when you mention the Jim Crow era, I don't know if anybody else knows this in the chat, but you might. You know, a lot of people in my family and a lot of people back in the day left from the South and ran in droves to the West. My mother, my father, my stepmom, obviously, because my dad met her there. We were all Southerners. We were from Mississippi. We were from Louisiana. Speaking about my family, okay? And Alabama and just different places and fled in droves to the West. Not knowing, I don't know whether you guys know this or not, but in California, as an example, there were more Jim Crow laws on the books than any place in the United States of America. I'm not sure if you guys know that. There is a movie, a television series, and I told you guys the other day that I am going to do a review on it, and I'm going to have Ronnie, and I'm putting you out there. I hope it's okay with you. Hope it's okay with you and Sonia, if you guys don't mind. But we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about them. And I hope that you guys are okay with it. It will be a members only conversation. So if you've not gotten your membership, you might want to join us because we're going to go very deep. That's my plan because the movie or the series itself is very deep and it is available on Prime. But it is there are some things that were said in there that were so telling. I sat there watching it and I was like, wait a minute. Did that guy just say, what did he just say? He said something that I know, that Ronnie knows, that possibly a lot of you in the chat know, but they allowed it to be said in this television series, which is about 10 episodes. But this particular thing is what we got to undo. We got to unpack it. We got to reset everybody so that everybody, and again, follow us in the word. Do not believe anything I tell you. Don't believe anything Ronnie or I say. Please study this out. I don't want it to be a situation where we've had it like it has been over the past few decades in our lives, where somebody will come and tell us something and we go, okay, yeah, well, thus and such says it and I trust them. This is one of those points where I would always say, you've got to know that you know, that you know, that you know, that you know. And the only way you can know is once you take what we're saying here and study it out. Yes, the Nazarenes. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Go ahead,
Absolutely.
Ronnie.
Well, I'm saying the Nazarenes. That's where we get the rendering in English, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth is because he was a Nazarite. He was a Nazarene, and the Nazarene in the Hebrew text are the Natsar, and these Natsar in essence, because you really can't grasp the understanding of the concepts of these Hebrew words in English definitions. You have to do a round and about type of illustration.
So
But
Natsar, the
Natsar
origin. Oh wow.
is the branch. It's the branch. It's the root of Jesse. It's the, it's the offshoot of the vine. He tells
But
you
that
that.
word, look at that word, put an I on the end of that and take the R away. Oh, wow. Go on.
Well,
Go on. People, we got to see it for what it is.
I'm
Go
saying,
on.
right, because these people that we call occultists or whatever. Occult just means, virtually it's the hidden knowledge. It's knowledge that is the underlying understandings of things, and these people are well versed in these things, so they know, not Nazi. They know why they named themselves Nazis. They feel like they were the way. They were the uh, you know the what the elite, the ones. They felt like they were the ones who could establish the path to I don't know, wholeness, to whatever, to what the Nazis
I
did.
know. Yeah. But
Right.
and so we don't even want to say that word too many more times on the platform because I tell you
Yeah,
what, I
pardon me,
can't.
pardon me.
No, it's not
But
you.
yeah,
It's
but it's
just the fact.
but these words are the same things. They hold,
Yeah.
when you break it down to its simplest common denominator, these words are etymologically equivalent.
Okay.
So you have to understand that. But it means it's the branch, you know what I mean? You are the offshoot. um Isaiah talks about the root of Jesse, like he is the root of Jesse, and we know who that's Yahweh Shah. That's who we call Jesus. um but I mean, just there's a whole lot of concepts that we've touched on, and I just want to brush on them all very lightly, round and aboutish. But the Greeks, they were looking for a Christ. We have a Messiah right here, so here's your Christ. You know what I mean? It's the Messiah. It's the trade-off.
Okay.
You have the Nazarene. Since we've just traded off the Messiah for the Christ, then we're going to trade in, the Nazarene
Ronnie,
for the Christians. Am I?
may I ask a question?
Yes.
Are they the same people?
Can you be more specific?
Hmm. So we know that there was a swiping, like a 5-finger discount. Just took it and
Yeah.
didn't ask for permission. So in other words, my Messiah is not their Jesus
No.
because their
No.
Jesus is one of the Pope's sons. That's if you want to look at the picture, which we don't have any fashions of our Father in heaven. We have no fashion of the angels. We can only go by descriptions, but definitely no fashions that are made like what we have the descriptions of. Letter A, B, letter B, they're not the same because, and I know this seems like something that people don't understand, but here's the deal. We just gonna come right out it and say it. You guys heard us say it the other day, heard me say it the other day. You already know what I believe. You already know who I am. I've not held it any secret. If anybody has ever asked, I tell you. I believe in the Messiah. Okay. I believe in Yahuwah. All right. I believe in, Yeshua, Yahweh Shah. That's who I believe in. I have to start it from the beginning and follow from the beginning. When I began to go into all of these different branches that are created by humans, that's where I get lost. And so I cannot,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? For me, I cannot do that. I have to stay with that root. I have to stay where it starts and follow the root, understanding that somebody else came in to try to hijack it. And now we're being attacked on our channel because I'm seeing I'm hardwired. And now I'm seeing it tell me that I'm losing some power there, which is really weird because I've got like one of the top carriers and one of the top speeds, one of the top computers, all of that stuff. So with that said, I'm still going to say what I got to say. I have to follow the root. I have to follow it from the beginning all the way down. And as I do that, I begin to see a lot of human beings paint themselves a branch. Here's your Messiah. Here's the Christo. Here's this, here's that. No, the love that I had in
Let's
my heart prior to me finding out what I know now was the true love for our Father. Go ahead, Ronnie.
let's do a study on the word Christ. You will be amazed what you come up with. It
Well, let's
is
go.
Wow, it is a total. What now? Oh, okay, we can do that. But just just talking points. Um, we have to understand. I've said this before. Grasp this concept. We are transformed by the renewing of our minds. Why does it say that? It's because we were born into and we've held on to imaginations. It is, listen to the wordplay. It is of no, it's not a coincidence that he said do not have images. Images create imaginations in your brain.
Word.
So if you have an image and you see that image all the time, it subconsciously is injected into your spirit and your imaginings. So when somebody brings this word up in a conversation, your brain instantly has this illustration in your head. So in effect, if you go all the way back to the ancient, it's the storyline and the personage stems from the same person. But what they've done is they came to a fork in the road and they decided to tell you who this person is and paint them in their own image. And the ones with the louder voice, they're the ones in control. They're the ones in authority. They're the ones who rule. So they have the louder megaphone.
Which takes me to the Flavians. When you say, because the winner of the war or the winner of the battle generally has the ability to paint and dictate history. And so that's why it drags me straight to the Flavians.
Absolutely.
All the battles and all the wars.
We have a conjecture. We have it's this, everything that we know seriously, very seriously. I'm going to say this blunt. We have conflated information. We have the information that we have is a conflation of truth and lie. And it's all jumbled up together and mixed up and so well that we can't decipher the difference, which is why we have to study the word to show ourselves approved to our Elohim, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Was it done on purpose? Was it done on purpose?
Absolutely. It was done on purpose. Why? Because they understand that there is a certain people group that is the chosen of Yah. And this chosen people group, if you go back to Genesis, it tells you that they were supposed to be kings and priests, and they were supposed to be rulers of all nations. But it didn't happen that way, because there's a whole bunch of issues.
Because a lot of hard-headedness. A lot of hard-headedness.
Right, stiff-neckedness, things of that nature.
But hard-headed. Hold on, let me drag off of that. Hold your thought. Please don't lose it. Hard-headedness, a lot of stiff-neckedness, a lot of want to do it on their own, a lot of belly aching, a lot of complaining, a lot of, well, let us just go back and we'll just, we were fine there with our captor. We're more comfortable if we don't know. We're more comfortable. Don't tell me the truth because then I'll have to do something with it. I would rather not know. So it's amazing. It is amazing. Okay. It is amazing that when you consider that is a group of people that we all see and know every single day. Now, I'm not going to apologize for truth. That's something that I submit that those who receive it would have to reckon with the Father. Anything that is truth, I'm not going to apologize for it. The only thing that I will say is I'm sorry that we all did not know. However, this is truth. So let's go on ahead, Ronnie. I'm not going to interrupt you anymore.
No. Well, I'm just saying. So this is the thing. Whether you know this or not, the powers that be understand this. And it's evident that they understand it. It's very obvious that they understand this because they took that they believe the word. They believe the word. Why would I take it and usurp it and switch it up and throw a whole bunch of other stuff in and then feed it back to you? Tainted, and give you a tainted version of it to feed it back to you. It's because they acknowledge, whoa, this is the truth right here. So they took it as their own, They modified it and they gave it back to you, so you don't know. And every and that and now I can rule you with
Mm.
the agenda or what have you, that I have,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
can keep you. The scriptures tell you that the Gentiles
Mhm.
trample the set apart city underfoot,
Mhm.
throwing your pearls to swine. You can't do it. You have to grab these pearls, and you have to understand that these pearls are delicate treasures, and you have to keep them. And the scriptures actually tell you, when you find a treasure, you know what I mean? Go and bury it in the field, and then go buy the whole entire field so nobody can get it. Like, this is important stuff, and like I'm saying, they acknowledge it, they know it, they believe it. And so they give you these images. They give you these images which is crazy, because the scriptures blatantly tell you, do not concoct an image. It says, make no images, in the likeness
Exactly.
of anything on the earth, anything that creepers on the earth, or anything that is in the heavens.
Mhm.
Yet we're constantly flooded with these images.
Hmm. Symbols and signs and images and
So,
things that attach itself to our psyche. Things that attach itself to our psychological thought process. So these things are mind massaging, constantly
so,
massaging.
so to keep it, on topic and on task, this is why you are supposed to be set apart. Why does he tell you? Why does he implore you to be set apart? It's because you have to separate yourself from the thought processes of this world, and you have to you have to dive into what he's telling you, not what somebody's telling you that he's telling you, or not with you. Don't dive into what somebody has said. Find out for yourself what he has specifically said. And you can only do that, through, these you got to look at the words. You got to look at the words. These words are and you even know that in basic media, when you read something or when you watch something, they give you these certain words that project a certain connotation, and they do it very subtly. But all of a sudden, now you feel negative about something, or now you feel positive about something. And what they did was they inserted their opinion very subtly in the statement, and
Mhm.
it, sways you one way or another.
Mhm. Mhm. Amen. Well, you guys, this is one of those things that we have to really, really grab a hold of, because it's in this knowledge and in the understanding of our Father's word that we gain strength. Mars Fool's Gold said, types and shadows have their ending. Yes, they do. That's wisdom. Mm-hmm.
That that's right. Types and shadows have their ending, and here comes the real deal.
Mm-hmm. And Anthony
And
Van Zant says, can't change truth, the word. They worshiped a flawed plan. They changed the words because they know all about Yeshua. Thus, duality's misery yearns for company via the faithful, via the shell game messenger. You mentioned shell game, and while Ronnie was talking earlier, it reminded me of those cats that are on the corners, or used to be in those movies, on the corners with the shell under the ball under the shell, or the 5 card. Is it 5 card, Monty? The card game where they're moving the card. Tell us which one it is, and they know, because they're the ones. They need to come up, the guys who are doing these games, right, Ronnie? They need to come up. So what they do is they know where everything is. You don't know, but you may walk up and see somebody who just won a mint. You don't know that that person is actually with them. They're all a part of the same clan or group of people, but they're playing that card game, and you see that person walk away with all kinds of money, and you're like, wow, I want to be down. I want to get that kind of money. I know I can play. You were headed to go someplace with those funds to do something important, and you figure, I can flip it. I can take this and I can flip it. And when I flip it, I'm going to have double. So I'm going to do like this guy. He doesn't even look that smart. I'm smarter than he is or she is. So I'm going to play. You put your money down there. They began to do their shell games. and all that stuff. Hey, Diane Brown, they begin to have their shell games and play. And all of a sudden, you win the first one. You're like, yes, you keep going. You win the second one. Yes. Then all of a sudden, he knows when it's time to pull the rug from under you. And now you're stuck there holding the bag. They've got your rent money and your dreams. They got your pride, they got it all, and they done headed for the house. And you are not gonna ever be redeemed, not from that loss. So while you were talking, and just to reference what Anthony Van Zant just said, absolutely. I've got a few things here that was stated. So we're going to go ahead and just talk a couple of seconds and just read through some of your comments. Anthony Van Zant, they've got their inverted Messiah, inverted words, inverted word, truths inversion. And then everything is inverted. Rachel Van Ziel says, Mars Fool's Gold says, the fig tree analogy that a good fruit tree or branch bears good fruit, truthful fruit. And then we just got through reading what Anthony said. I don't think this is it. Lucy's trying to sneak rule through the. You guys see what's on there. I don't want to read a lot of it because a lot of it is red and that's it. Types and shadows have their endings that came from Mars Fool's Gold. We just got through reading the shell game statement. Yep. At Felicia playing possum with perception, and then they cheat too and rob you in a blink. That's what they do with those games all the time, right? And bless you all from Diane. We're already at 1 hour and roughly 30 minutes. So we're at an hour, 29 minutes and 45 seconds into this show. It feels as if we just started. There are a lot of folks who were not here in the beginning. The topic of our show obviously is restoring the bride of the Messiah. Okay, understanding the Ruach, understanding why we don't say certain terms, certain phrases, and certain words. We've dealt specifically today with the whole piece of holy and where the holy ceremonies come from, where the holy festival comes from, why they say the term holy. One good point, several good points made today. Mars Fool's Gold pointed out Hollywood. Ronnie Mann came back with the Hollywood using the holly leaf. All of these things are important, but we have to thank our Father. We thank you, Yah, for clearing out all of the clutter. It's almost like going in your closet for spring cleaning and you begin to just throw out all the stuff you do not need anymore. Then you're left with the clean, fresh smell of a brand new, clean closet. You mop the floors out good. You get all that old stuff out. And now you're just left with the good stuff. And that's exactly what we're doing right now, laying the foundation so that we can begin to build truth on what our Father has already done. Rachel Van Ziel says, ain't gonna learn this stuff in churches. Well, we know why, right? Afternoon, Anthony, is a greeting from Diane Brown. So let's go ahead and chat a little bit more before we close out. And we're going to end with Ronnie going ahead, not necessarily closing out in the next 5 minutes, obviously, but Ronnie's going to go ahead and pick up from there. Had to do a little house cleaning and say hey to everybody. Had to do a little hostessing. Okay, go ahead, Ronnie.
I mean, you said maybe we can look into the word Christ in and of itself.
Please.
But I mean, that is a topic all by itself. And what Miss Rachel just stated is that you're not going to learn these certain things in the churches is very true, because one day soon, actually, we're going to do a breakdown on the etymology of the word church and how, if you look at the scriptures, how even in the Greek in the Old Testament, in the Greek in the New Testament, the word is actually ecclesia, and they took the word ecclesia, which means assembly or congregation, and they injected the word church there. And there, etymologically, they say that word comes from the word kirk, kirky, Circe, cirque.
Wow.
But listen though, ecclesia and kirk are not etymologically equivalent. You can't make I took this word out and injected a whole brand new concept of a whole different word and put it in its place. And when you do the research, you find out that the Church of England did that when the king didn't want to be down with Rome anymore, and
Mm.
his people were listening to what the Pope had to say instead of what he had to say. So he cut himself off from Rome, and then they created the Church of England. But that's a whole, and so when King James came around, he was a part of the Church of England, and they have a church. But if you actually look at the original, even the Romans, they don't call themselves a church. The Roman Catholics, they even hold to the originality of the word. That the Spanish, for example, is a Latin derivative.
Correct.
Spanish comes from the Latin. The Spanish calls it iglesia.
Yes.
Iglesia. They don't call them
Yes.
churches. They call them iglesia. Why? Because they hold to the original word, which is ecclesia in the Greek.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not churches. Only in the English, because of the Church of England, is it called a church. And we speak English. Now we thinking that it's a church, and we have assumed that they're one and the same. And in actuality, they're not. But we'll do a study on that in a breakdown, and it is eye-opening. And it's like, oh my goodness, man. However, let's talk about this Christ just for a second. You want to see something interesting?
Can I just interject for just a quick second and say a couple of hellos to some great folks who just came in? Our sister Sanya says, truth and lie went swimming one day. After Lie finished swimming, Lie put on Truth's clothes. Ever since that day, you've had the naked truth trying to catch with that well-dressed lie. I like it. And then we've got Lee Hill. Oh, what an honor it is to have you here right now. Thank you so much for joining us, Lee. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm not sure if Karim is still here, but Karim is our sister, Lee, and it's our sister. We all grew up in the same house together. So this is my brother, who is, as you guys know, most of you may know, he's off the chain. Both of my brothers are off the chain. Lee, I cannot wait for him to come on and talk to us about the Ramana, especially right now with everything that's going on. We're going to talk about how things are playing into that hand right now. And Lee, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we have two heavyweight mods that just joined us, and I am so appreciative of you both being here. Go ahead, Ronnie, finish.
Yeah, shout out to Red Nation, and a super shout out to Sanya. And those are good points, actually. That's a good point. The naked truth is trying to catch up with the lie to this day. And because the lie is well dressed, you look at the naked truth like, oh my goodness, how appalling. You know what I mean? But like, the lie stole his clothes. Like it's an interesting concept, and it is actually reality. This is the reality in which we live, and we have to dissect it. We have to rip ourselves apart from that, and pull ourselves away from that to get these firm understandings of the sound teachings and the sound doctrines of what has always been versus what a certain group in authority has fed us, has shoved down our throat, actually. But yeah, if we can, progress forward, you want to see something interesting?
Sure, go ahead.
Do you want to see something interesting? Let's connect some dots. Pull open, I don't know, like an image.
Sure, what do you need? I got you.
Type in Cairo.
Okay.
Cairo. And I don't mean Cairo, Egypt, even though it's the same exact word, which is very interesting as well. And we'll break that down real quick. But Chi, C-H-I, and Ro, R-H-O. Now, these are two Greek letters, the Chi and the Ro.
So we're going to do the symbols. You want to look at the symbols?
Let's look at the symbols. Cairo.
Okay.
And just, don't pull up one in particular. Just look at the plethora of information
Wow.
available. Yeah, and share that real quick. And let's talk about it. So
Okay.
it's no coincidence that Cairo is the capital of Egypt.
And
And
Egypt
the scriptures
is really, really going ham right about now as far as a lot of the stuff that's going on in this day right now. Okay, there you go.
Well, look at what the scriptures tell us. The scriptures in Egypt it's not called Egypt. in the scriptures. It's only called Egypt because it's a rendering into the English. The word is in the modern Hebrew, they say Mitzrayim. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Mitzrayim. It's Matzavayam. And this word means house of bondage. It's
Shut
the house
up.
of bondage.
Shut up.
So Egypt is the house of bondage. Listen closely, listen carefully. Egypt is the house of bondage, and its capital is Cairo.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So you're about to read, but no. Let's just look at the imageries. Let's just talk about it briefly before we go into any in-depth understanding of what somebody has written down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Let's just look at the image, all the inferences that we get through an image search.
mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. I was looking at my sister Krim. I love you, Remchi. Did you see Lily is here? Love you, Remchi. Have a good rest. Okay, so let's see. She's okay. So here is I want to see the symbols. I want to see because when I pulled it up, that came, but I just want to see the images, right? That's all I want. Oh, there we go. So we've got a plethora of images now. So let's just take a look at the images. That was pretty cool. I like the way that happened. Just poof, there we go. All right. And tell if you guys can see that. I think you guys can see it well, right?
Oh,
Okay.
exactly. So this is excellent. This is excellent. So you see, this is the Chi and the Rho. And what they've done is they've superimposed the Chi and the Rho on top of each other. So the Chi is that it's not, but just for so we can understand it. It's that X. It's that X looking thing. It's not an X. It's a Chi. But we can identify it with an X looking type of image. So the Chi is that X. And mind you, these two symbols are superimposed. So that P looking thing, that staff looking thing with the hoop on top of it, the P,
Yeah.
that is the Rho. That is the Rho. And so it's the CH in the English, and it's the R in the English, the Chi and the Rho. Now, when we do a breakdown, and I want everybody who is in earshot of what I'm saying to do a breakdown, this is indeed, in fact, the oldest symbol for Christianity. This is the first symbol for Christianity, the Chi Rho. Why? Because the Chi and the Rho are the first two letters in the word Christ.
Okay.
In the Greek.
Mm-hmm.
So scroll down and you'll start to see you'll see the Roman patriarchs, the Catholic fathers or whatever, the first fathers. They have
Mars
a
Fool's
bunch
Gold.
of symbols.
Yeah, Mars Fool's Gold just hit that nail on the head. He says that is a like image of the Vatican Square is what Mars Fool's Gold says.
Absolutely. Because this is the oldest rendition, because listen, the Romans have nothing in and of themselves. All they have is brute strength, and they usurp everybody's info and make it their own. They take some type of aspect of every culture that surrounded them, and they hoard it and make it theirs, and they redistribute it as Roman. The Romans have nothing of themselves. So these concepts are Greek.
You
and
know
of
what?
course, there was.
May I ask something? Is it not? It's sort of unique because, and I don't mean to, but you know what hit me when you said that? It reminds me of what Paul said. I learned to become like them, basically, and I'm paraphrasing. I become like them so that I might win some. And no matter what environment he goes in, he says, and I just become like them that I might win some. He was both a Greek and a Hebrew, correct?
He was a Roman citizen and a descendant from the tribe of Benjamin. And he was a Pharisee. He was in the sect of the Pharisee.
Okay, go ahead. Wow.
But this is true. You should be all things to all men. So you can, at least gain one or two along the way.
Yeah, some.
Yes.
Got it. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
But that's a good point. Paul has a lot of good points, and Paul is misunderstood in a lot of facets. But that's a whole entire different conversation. But okay, look at the Cairo. So this is the most ancient symbol. This is the first symbol for Christianity. This is what it is. And look at this is actually the same sign that pirates use. Take a look at the symbology.
Wow.
Take a look at the symbol, like just look at it. What does it show? This is the skull and crossbones. This is the skull. That P at the top, that's the head. The crossbones is the chi, is the 2x, is the x, is the crossbones. Are you seeing this? Have we lost each other? I might have lost you. So I'm going to come out and come back in.
No, I can't
Oh, okay.
manipulate. No, I can't manipulate sound when I go over into another screen to pull up any other thing. So, and I was like, no, trying to get there before
Well, I've
you
been
left.
having so many, technical issues. I just knew it was me, so I apologize. But look, that is the skull and crossbones. Look, I'm not reaching. I'm not making this up. This is historically one and the same. And you are in a delusion if you try to separate them.
Wow.
This is where they came from. This is how it stemmed. And so why I'm saying Cairo in Egypt is because this is the kingship. This is the kingship for the other team. And what do I mean by that? If you look at the ancient pharaohs and how they were put into the sarcophagus, into the various sarcophagi, and they were entombed with a rod and a staff in their hands, and their hands were crossed over their chest. And this is where we get the concept of the skull and crossbones. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
It's the head with the arms crossed over the chest, and the arms are the crossbones, and in the hands are the rod and the staff. But the scriptures tell you that Yah is the rod and the staff.
Wow.
What does he say? He said he's not the rod and the staff, but inadvertently he is. But he holds the rod and the staff. King David tells you, he is comforted by his rod and his staff. So the kingship has a rod and a staff, but and this is where the Egyptians got the idea of having a rod and a staff, because the ancient kings always had a rod and a staff, and those are symbolic and those mean something too, and we can touch on those at another date as well. But nonetheless, this is the concept of the skull and crossbones, and this is the founding symbol of Christianity. This lets you know this is the other team. This is Egypt, and we are supposed to come out of the house of bondage. And this is the beginnings of the foundation of the word Christ, the Christos in the Grecian, in the Greek.
Wow.
I mean, we can go on and on. I wasn't prepared to show you this, but I actually have, I got slides as well, and we can go to depth. But this is something that this is a foundational laying of, and whoever is listening, grab a hold of this and do your own due diligence and research and understand that we are in a paradigm that they have created for us, and we have been sold a bill of goods, and it feels right, and it's nice and it's good. It's because it's injected and it's mixed up with truth. You can't sell a good lie unless it's mingled with some form of truth.
Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna show them together. Can you hear me? I'm gonna show them together. While you were talking, I sort of put it all together.
I
So
hope
we're
this
going to
makes
show it
sense.
together. Yeah, it makes sense to me. And I'm sure it makes sense to everybody else as well, because, this is the type of stuff that real true study is about. It's about all of us getting together and just, putting it all out there. So here you go.
And you see so pause that real quick. That is the Alpha and Omega sign. If you go back, that Alpha and Omega, that A and that is the first letter of the alphabet, and that is the last letter of the Greek alphabet, which implies Alpha
Alpha,
Omega.
Omega.
And exactly, because so what they're saying is the skull and crossbones is the Alpha and Omega, but that skull and crossbones originates from Egypt. And even though we are born in Egypt or we have been to Egypt, he calls us out of Egypt. He does this to everybody. Moses was born under Egyptian rule. He was a prince in Egypt, but he was called out of Egypt. Yahushua himself, he stayed in Egypt. He went to Egypt because the king was trying to kill him, was pinpointing him and was just killing everybody 2 and under just because he was alive. And so they fled to Egypt. But at a certain time in his life, he was called out of Egypt. Each and every one at a certain time in our lives, if we are supposed to be like him, and if we are actually indeed his body, then we are to be called out of Egypt as well. Because if we're his body and he was called out of Egypt, that means his body left Egypt. And we say that we're his body, we need to leave Egypt.
Amen. Wow. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I know that I sure am. And I'm so glad that we have spent the last almost 2 hours together, just learning and just unpacking and just taking it all apart and starting all over. I mean, it's nothing like having a brand new decorated kitchen, right? We ladies can understand that, but we do understand that in the time that we are decorating and our husbands have all the men working in the house, we can't necessarily cook in that kitchen. We got to wait until it's done. This is that. Taking it all apart, unpacking everything, putting it all together, and finding there was some loose boards. There was some foundation issues that was there in the kitchen. Maybe that's the reason why the kids' ball always rolled when they had it in the kitchen, because it wasn't a solid or a flat or a firm foundation. That's exactly what we're dealing with right now today. I want to thank you, Ronnie. Please say that you'll come back and we will complete this, because I know that there are a lot of people, once they start to see this, the series of Restoring the Bride of Messiah, once they start to see this, they're going to want to know more. And that's exactly what we want to talk about, is restoring the bride of Messiah, the set apart spirit, the Ruach, HaKodesh. Why don't we say the word holy? Why don't we use those different terms? This is one of the most unbelievable teachings I think we've had in a long time. And I'm so glad that everybody is here to share with us. As we said at the top of last week, or the middle part of last week, this isn't for everybody, but those who are here and those who catch it on the replay. The Father loved you enough to give you this truth. He gave it to us. He gives it to all of us. He gives everything that we need. When we ask him for it, he does supply that need. I want to thank all of the mods that we had here today. Rachel Van Ziel, we had Lee here, we had Karim here. Of course, we have Sister Sanya, who is Ronnie Mann's wife. So we had all of our wonderful mods, everybody here working to help us keep the chat room healthy and clean. Ronnie, if you want to take the last several minutes here to put a nail in this until we meet again and pick up where we left off, which for me, it will be tomorrow, because we're doing this every day, right? Giving us some words of encouragement and the words that the Father wants us to have on a daily basis. And that's what I'm here to do. Before I pass it back over to Ronnie, I want to thank everybody who has joined us here as members of the channel. I'm so glad to see that you guys are taking it and you're enjoying it. One thing is great is that is we are going to be able to give you guys some content that only the members can get. The content that doesn't go against the channel, the stuff that is not open to the public, lives as well as videos and things of that nature. So thank you, Rachel Van Ziel. Thank you to all of you who've become channel members. It means the world. So I appreciate all of you for doing that. Thank you so very much. I think it starts at like $3.99, jumps to $6.99, and then I think the top tier is a $9.99 package, but you get everything for the $9.99 per month. It's not per day. It's not, it's not, every other week. No, it's just one time a month. And for that, the folks who do decide to join us as the top tier, those individuals not only get the members only chat, they get the members only live stream, which means in a couple of days, you're going to see that members only live stream. They'll be able to make the comments there. They'll also get their badge. There's a plethora of things that they get. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Ronnie, please take us out. You've got about 7 minutes to give us all the good information you want before we go into our playlist with our music and end the show out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with tying everything in, you've been doing the series on love, and Holi is the Hindi festival of love. So, that is the tie-in as to how, why we're even speaking on this in this series. But we have to be able to dissect what and identify what is the righteous love versus what is the secular or tainted or defiled even types of love. And we have to hone in on what is what, and we have to make a decision as to what we are to grasp and hold on to and cling to. So in saying that, maybe not a nail in the coffin, but this is definitely food for thought, is that some people say, well, it began a certain type of way, but it has modified and morphed into what we see it as now. So it has become acceptable, or it has become something different. So it's okay now. And I would like you to consider that the principles of the matter is always intact and is always at play. And when the foundation is corrupted, the whole entire building project is faulty and is at risk. And and we know this. That's why we have to make sure when we're building a home that the foundation is sound, the foundation is secure. And you have the teachings of Yahweh Shai. He said, what type of soil are you going to plant your seed in? What type of soil? What type of ground are you going to build your house upon? Things of these nature. So these are concepts that are sound, and we have to inject them into our everyday thought processes and the things that we encounter day to day in this world, and utilize these principles as foundational tools for warfare, even, because that's exactly what this is. And so when you find that these things have an origin that is defiled, then we have to let it go. We have to take it and throw it in the river. We have to take it and cast it away, cast it into the fire. However, when you do this, you can't leave your space empty, because he also teaches us that when you do cast something out, if you don't put something in its place, then the thing that you cast out is going to get 7 of his homeboys and come back, and they're going to make a home, and you're going to be worse off than you were in the beginning. So when you do come up with these, find these concepts and they mean something to you, like, oh my goodness, this is, something that I need to discard, then what needs to happen is you need to understand what it is that you actually need to fill in its place, to put, place
Very
it with.
good. Very
And
good.
when you do that, you don't want to replace a lie with another lie.
Mm-mm. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want a bad kitchen and put in another bad kitchen. Leaf Desi says, you say that while I'm trying to redo my kitchen. LOL. Literally need to replace the floor and the cleaning area that needs redone right now. LOL. I'll catch up on this one. Just catching y'all. Yeah. So we started out talking about holy, and we are really referring to restoring the bride of Messiah, the set apart spirit, Ruach HaKodesh. So we thank you, Ronnie, for joining us today. We're going to come back again and we're going to finish this up because this is where we have to be. We're going to start here and just keep going forward. Right? We're not going to go back. We're going to just keep going forward. So we're going to understand why, while we're unpacking certain words that we don't need anymore, we're going to be checking those over there in the bone yard, as it were. Thank you so much for pointing out the Alpha Omega symbol, the Alpha, the letter, the Greek Alpha, and then the Greek Omega. That's on the other deal that we just got to seeing. I'm going to show you guys that again just so that you can see it. The Alpha Omega, and this being the first church sign or the symbology is everything. It's everything. It's everything, because we see it everywhere we go, from advertisement, to everything you do. You're going to have a symbol. When you got to get off the highway, they even have a symbol section of your driving tests where you can notify. I got my license when I lived in Europe, in Germany, and I had so many signs that I had to understand and I had to learn. It's the same way. This is the reason why they use those symbols, because it does sort of confound a few people. But nonetheless, I thank you guys all for being here. Before we leave, we're going to show the video again of how we started today, dealing with the word holy and why we no longer use that word to describe our Father who rocks in the set apart spirit. So here we go. This is the Holy Festival. Happy Holy. For those of you who did not see this, this is the Holy Festival. This is where the word comes from. It's derived from the Indian culture. They paint themselves. They have all these different kinds of, paints and stuff that they put all over them. So it's for the spring. It's for it all. Look at all the people that are coming from all over the world to deal with this. This is the reason why we don't say it. Plain and simple. And it's not a bad thing for them. We just don't serve holy. Again, for those who say, no, it's not that holy, we spell it with a Y. I said earlier, spell holiness. Tell me what the letters you use are. So it ends up, the winter brings in the spring. It's a time where they all get together, play jokes on one another, have fun. They do all kinds of stuff together. This is what they do. Painting themselves. Remember what I said earlier about that place out in Switzerland. It sits on the border of about 3 or 4 countries. They received a statue, and that statue sits right outside of their building, and it came from this particular region, this country. So we had a few folks who did not get a chance to see this. And we had to make sure that we caught you up to speed so that you didn't necessarily have to watch the replay just to see what we're looking at here. But this is their holy festival. Their holy festival. Our Father is the set apart spirit. He has a set apart spirit. He is set apart. He is set apart, set apart, set apart, set apart, as Ronnie said earlier. He is not like any other God. There is no one like him. No, not in heaven or in earth. Okay. And this is what they're doing. They're having a good time. And that's for them. It's just not for us. Amen, Mars Fool's Gold. Build your spiritual house on the principles of liberty, because whom the Son set free, our Father in heaven, you're free indeed. Lucy's a Mac Daddy, false advertiser. Receive the set apart spirit of Yahuwah. And that is where we want to leave that with you all today, is the set apart spirit of Yahuwah. That's who we want to let you know he is so different. He's not like anybody else, ever, 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 nowhere. Thank you, Rachel Van Ziel, for modding to the end. You are on point, sis. You are you hanging in there. You and our sister Sanya, thank you very much. Everybody else is already gone because my sister obviously is in a totally different time zone, being in the UK. And then Lee's driving a truck and he's working. Okay. They do it during block parties. She says, my town started doing this. They do it in block parties. You are absolutely right, Leaf Desi. You are absolutely right. Do you know why? Because it is becoming as well as becoming this whole ecumenical thing, or bringing in all different types of belief systems, that they're telling you that everybody has a way to get to the Father. That is a lie. They can get to their Father, but they can't get to the true and living Yah. They cannot get to the Most High Yah. They cannot get to the Most High God, ever, no matter how they try it. They can take 15 different ways to get to what they think is the same location, and I guarantee you they'll get to 15 different places, but they will never make it to him. If you think about what was going on there at the Tower of Babel, they were there trying to build their way up to him. The audacity. They were literally trying to get to him. And he said, you know what? I made them. I know what's in them. And if they keep it up, they will truly attempt to get here. They're not going to do it. But let me go ahead and show them who I am. And he divided them among all of their languages. And they took all their time going to mate up and match up with each other. Let's go match up. Oh, how do you speak? Oh, okay, you're me. Oh, you're me. You're us. We're over here. So there's no way, no how that is our Father at all. And that's the reason why we say the Ruach, HaKodesh, the set apart spirit. There is no apology for truth. Okay. And as I said before, you guys know, and for those of you who don't know, but we did say it a couple of other days ago, and I've said it in private conversations, we are Hebrew. And that's just who we are. My brother Ronnie, my brother Lee, myself, that's who we are. And so we just wanted you guys to, look into see why we say what we say, what we believe and how we believe it, because we want to be as sound as possible. And that can only come from our Father and his word. You can only be taught via the Ruach, the teacher, the one that we call the Paraclete when we translate that word into Greek. Okay. So I thank each and every one of you guys for being with us here today. Thank you so very much for coming in and sharing your afternoon with us. Remember what we always say here on this broadcast, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. You guys take care of one another, and you guys just be blessed. We're going to see each other really soon, if our Father wills it. And that part, that part right there. All right, you guys, you take care. What I have to say is, you're doing something right when the gremlins start to come out and get you. And that's exactly what just happened. You get clicked off and all this other stuff. So we must be saying something right. That's the only way that I can see it, is that there must be something that's being said that is accurate and that is correct. Because it's in those times where you start to get lost, the channel starts to get attacked and all that other stuff. And so for me, I'm pretty cool with it. I'm happy that it's happening, because that tells us that we are on the right track. Wouldn't you say so, Ronnie? I mean, that's what I have to say. But in any case, you guys know what we always say here. We're going to say it again. And that is that Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. You guys take care and be blessed. Try it again. Will not let me out of here. I don't know what the problem is, but it's not nice. All right, y'all.
It's my fault for taking you blow my mind with this thing called love.
Y'all ain't got to go home.
Every move I'm
Y'all ain't got to get out of here.
You know everything I'm thinking of.
Hang out if you want to.
I'm thinking of you all of the time.
Hang out if you want to. Y'all ain't got to go home. Y'all ain't got to get out of here. I know they're trying to kick us out. I don't know what the issue is. But yeah. He's the only one.
It was always you from the start. It was always you all the time. I wrote you on my heart. I wrote you on my mind. And I'm thinking of you all of the time. Always. Say it. Oh, you are the only one. Only one. You are the only one. You are the only. You are the only one. You are the only one. Bavashaya. In the beginning, Yah created the heavens and the earth. His spirit moved upon the waters. It's all in his word. He said, let there be light. And he called the light day. And the darkness he called night. He saw that it was. He made heaven and called forth the dry land. Gathered the waters, called it the seed. And he made seed for man. Brought forth the grass and every herb and every fruit yielding tree on this earth. He saw that it was. He made lights to divide day and night times for seasons, days, and years to let them be for signs. And so the earth could have light. He made the greater one to rule the day and the lesser one to rule the night. Let's not forget he made the stars also. Then he told the waters to bring forth life, and it was so. He created all the birds of the sky, all the cattle, and every creeping thing after his own kind. He saw that it was. Then Yah created man. In his own image he created them. Male and female he created them. He blessed them to be fruitful and to multiply and to replenish the earth and subdue everything within. Nah, behold, it was very good when it saw already had made it. Even in the morning, were the sixth day. And on the seventh day, he rested. That's why he sanctified and blessed it. It's uncontested. My God is, and to make it understood, I'm bumping truth music when I'm rolling through my hood. I'm putting God first, no hood fame. You read it on a nameplate. Dwell in the house of Yahweh forever for his name's sake. And though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm stomping through like it don't even exist. His goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. My God is. And to make it understood, I'm fucking music when I'm rolling through my hood. Then I was. And to make it understood, I'm fucking music when I'm rolling through my hood.
Good morning, babe.
Do you remember where we're from? Stayed up watching, no time for yawning. Look up at the sky, see that new day dawning. God be my witness, take it as a warning. Sun ain't never lie, great day in the morning. Focus, never let the nighttime revoke it. Blinded by the dark, I seen it before they cloaked it. It was marvelous, they hiding it behind the pulpit. Lying in a sick bed, vying with the culprit. How we trying on the culture, liking how it fit, now we dying with the vulture. At the round table with more nights than Mozart. Caught up in the image of that child on that poster. The light disable the diagnosis, healing the sick. I got the script and the dosage. Take it for the grind, you gon' need it for the borderline. Holla when you see the joy coming, morning time. Keep on keeping on. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming. Look, I guess we probably need a night light so we can continue to get our hope on. They say we headed for that light, right? Well, I'ma hit them with this photon, with that blazing sword forming like Voltron. When the morning come, they disappearing like Croatan. The Melachine, oh my Elohim, Omicron, sealed with the 70, going out like Yoke and 9. And when I meet my deliverer, I'm set apart. I got peace like a river. If we stay sharp with it, there's a feast on the sliver. We can take part. I advise you play it smart. It's a late start. Let the light shine through the dark. Until the day star rise in your heart. Take heart. When you find the door, you'll be more than fine. Holla when you see the joy coming. Morning time. Holla when you see the joy coming. Do you remember where we're from? Pray you the strength to carry on. They trying to take my inheritance, this arrogance. I'm trying to save them the embarrassment. I spit truth, they forgetting what the marriage is. The meek shall inherit the earth, the rest perishes. They taught us all to listen to Balaam with their palace and their caliphate. I'm destined for Salem, man, they rest is counterfeit. Plus it's destined to fail 'em. Shake the dust off this city, man. Who coming with me? There's a light at the end of it. I see you shine, getting life with the benefits. That's me and mine, holding fast to the legacy, whether the rain or shines. mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Do you remember where we're from? Pray you the strength to carry on. Will you step into the sun? Do you remember where we're from? Pray you the strength to carry on. Will you step into the sun? It's mine, it's mine, it's
But my love, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. You must realize that the light is you.
Yeah, you awake? Wake up, you who sleep, and arise from the dead. And Mashiach shall give you light. Yeah. He took me high on a mountain, told me look around. What I found was astounding. If I bow down, he can make anything happen, surpassing everything I could ever imagine. Flying first class, relaxing, living my passion, guaranteed satisfaction. High end estates, cash and high fashion, high stakes, high class and high flashing, high life. Lights, camera, action, the most fly. Said I'm destined to be just like the most high. So when they crown me king, I want the power it brings. Set my throne above everything. Got the world in the palm of my hand. Now raise your hands high. I'm in high demand. Yeah, if you don't know who I am, I'm the man. They got my head gassed up to the red line, believing that the world is mine, but it's all a lie. Said I'm not of this world, so I'm hoping I'm not throwing my pearls to swine. I tell her this little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine. You see this light? I'ma let it shine. I guess I was supposed to respect it and give a toast, but it wasn't what I expected. When truth approached, they rejected it. They mediocre at best, it's just they'll never accept it. We get affected by the time invested. You think they blessed it, but they spitting is septic. Poison in the mind, they lies neglect what's already written. I'm rolling with the elect, you can check how they kicking it. They've been afflicted, now we gotta move mountains to fix it. No doubt, they going all out, man, I'm getting sick with how they try to reroute the ecliptic. Living in a time predicted, keeping it cryptic. They're passing it off for something to get with. I'd rather find a way around the elliptic and get this house in order before they find me evicted. Yeah, try to keep me gassed up all the way to the red line, believing that the world is mine, but it's all a lie. See, I'm not of this world, so I'm hoping I'm not throwing my pearls to swine. I tell her this little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine. You see this light, I'ma let it shine. This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I gotta let it shine, shine.